Hello and welcome to the Scotmid training session on remote working. I'm Alan Konzak and I'll take you through some tips and tricks for working at home and give you an overview of how to connect your new laptop to the Scotmid systems to allow you to do work remotely. This is actually a training course we delivered in the building last week for a number of people, but unfortunately now that we're in a lockdown situation, we can't do training in the building anymore. So I've recorded this video and put it onto YouTube, which will hopefully allow you to watch it at your leisure. Before we get into the training course, I just wanted to show you something with YouTube. If you find the picture quality is a little fuzzy, it's because YouTube have reduced the picture quality of all their videos to try and reduce the traffic over the internet. But you can put it back by going to the control panel along the bottom of the video and clicking on the little cog. You'll then see an option for quality, and you can put that up to 720p or 1080p depending on your broadband connection, and that will make the picture a lot sharper. So I will go into the agenda for the training session. I'm going to just start by giving you a little bit of background about remote working that we were asked to cover for health and safety. I will show you how to connect your laptop to the internet, and then how to use your laptop to connect to something called VPN, and then use terminal services which will allow you to connect to Scotmid services such as VME to allow you to do your job at home. We're then just going to touch on a new web conferencing tool that we have, and then talk about troubleshooting and next steps. So to begin with, just a little bit of background on remote working. Most of this stuff should be common sense, but it's just worth covering from a health and safety point of view. In terms of working remotely, we have technology now that should enable people to do their jobs from pretty much anywhere with an internet connection. And this is going to be vital over the next few weeks to help us all stay connected during the COVID-19 pandemic. The INC team have been working hard over the last few weeks to make sure everyone has access to the technology they need. We've already rolled out a number of new laptops and are continuing to build more to those that need them. And we've also been making services available remotely that are currently only available in the building. It is important to point out from the beginning, though, to set expectations that services won't run as quickly as they do in Hillwood House. Things will be a bit slower. When we're at our desks, the computers are all wired into the data center, which provides a quick connection. Unfortunately, once you're at home, you are then relying on broadband connections on the internet to connect back into the building, so it will slow things down, unfortunately. However, we do feel that everyone should be able to still access all the systems they do to do the job they need to do, albeit a little slower than usual. When working from home, it's important to find a place that's comfortable and productive. So try and find somewhere in your house that is minimizing distractions and noise. Lock pets away if they're going to produce noise, etc. Try and avoid working from sofas or beds or soft furniture. We recommend that people find a desk to sit at, or if you don't have a desk, sit at a table with a comfortable chair to avoid injuring yourself by using the PC for a long period of time. And you need to connect your device to your home internet, which I'll show you in a moment. It's also important to take care of ourselves while we're working at home. It's very easy when you're working remotely to spend hours on end sitting in front of the computer working without taking regular breaks. In the office, you tend to find there's more distractions. You need to go and talk to people, or there's opportunities to walk about, make cups of tea, etc. It's very easy at home to forget that, and it's important that we all take time to walk around, stretch, or schedule in calls with colleagues to take a bit of time away from screens, and that's for health and safety. It's also very important to keep in touch. It can be very lonely working from home, and you can feel isolated emotionally as well as just physically, which we're trying to do. So it's important to keep in touch with each other. We recommend that managers arrange daily calls with their team so everyone can join by phone or by video conferencing to speak to each other. And just a reminder as well that not all meetings we have need to be all business. We should still find time to celebrate teams and maintain team culture while we're all out of the building. Okay, so now on to the more technical aspect of the training. The first thing I'm going to do is show you how to connect your laptop to the internet. I'm going to assume for now that you've been able to log on to the laptop using the piece of paper that was inside it. So that was typing Fountain in the first screen, the BitLocker screen, and then logging on using the username /Scotmid and the password Cuthbert160. So once you've done that, you should now be sitting at a desktop, which will look something like this. And you should, in the bottom corner, have an icon to connect Wi-Fi, which looks like this. It should be some waves with a star above it. If you double click on that icon, you'll see all the Wi-Fi networks that are available to you in your home location. And you should hopefully recognize one of those as your Wi-Fi router. I see mine there. It's called East Binnythorn 5. So I'll double click on that and hit connect. It will then ask me for the network security key. If you don't know what that is, it will likely be on a sticker at the back. I'm just going to type mine in there. If you click yes when it asks you if you want to allow the PC to be discoverable, it will then connect, and it should say connected, secured, which means you're connected. You can check you've definitely got a connection by going to a new web page in Chrome and just going to a public website such as bbc.co.uk. And you can see there I'm connected in, and it's giving me up-to-date news, etc. So once your PC is connected to the internet, I should say that in the slides here, which we will send out by email, there's a guide here as well to connect to the Wi-Fi. So if you get stuck, please refer to that guide. It just shows you what I just showed you, but with some extra information. It's also worth noting at this point, if you get a very slow broadband connection, if you have anyone at home, especially it's a problem at the moment with children off school. If you have people at home using Netflix or gaming, they might be hogging the bandwidth of your broadband. You might have to ask them to cease while you're working and ask them to do something else. That's very much dependent on how good your broadband connection is. But if you are finding that you're having slow connection issues, you might have to have a word with some other people in the household. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is how to connect to VPN and terminal services. For this, this is the bit that actually connects us back to the Scotmid network. So if I go back to my desktop again, I'll show you this live. The first thing you need to do is connect to VPN, Virtual Private Network. And as I said earlier, that creates a tunnel between your laptop and Hillwood House. So that's a secure link into the building. We connect to VPN using something called Forte Client. There should be a link to it on your desktop, but if you can't find it, if you go to the Start menu and look for it under F for Forte Client, or you can just type Forte Client in and it will come up. So when you connect Forte Client, it should look something like this. You don't need to worry about putting all the connection details in. They're all pre-populated. You simply need to enter your username and password. When you enter your username and your normal Windows password, like I've done there, and hit connect, what will happen then is it will send a text message to your phone, and then it will bring up a box for the answer. So it will send a text message with a 6-digit code, and once you receive the text message, you need to insert the answer into the box provided. So I'll just do that now. Okay, and that should be you connected now. As you can see at the bottom, it should say connected to Scotmid VPN. You'll also notice that there should be a green shield in the system tray with a little padlock against it. That means you're on the Forte client. Okay, so that's you connected your laptop to Hillwood House using a virtual private network. The next thing we're going to do is show you how terminal services works, and that's the thing that's going to allow you to actually work on Scotmid systems. So just by way of illustration, if you imagine that's your house there, and that's Hillwood House, separated obviously by the internet. In your house, you're using a laptop. If you imagine that to do your work, you're required to connect to a computer that's in Hillwood House that runs something like VME, for example. What the terminal service is effectively you using your laptop to control a remote computer within Hillwood House. So you can think of the terminal services, the remote workers connection that I'm about to show you, as a kind of virtual computer that's inside Hillwood House that you'll be controlling from your laptop. Because your laptop can't talk to VME, it needs to be a PC that's in the building. So what this will do is allow your laptop to effectively control another computer that's in Hillwood House. Don't worry if that doesn't make sense. I'm going to show you a demo in just a second. But just to explain that when you connect to the terminal services, what you'll have is all your normal applications that you'd expect to see. So you'll see all of the Microsoft Office applications, Outlook, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and Access. You'll be able to access both the internet and the intranet. So you'll get all the World Wide Web, as well as internal web pages such as SharePoint, the intranet, Upskills, and such like. You'll also have all your shared drives mapped, so your usual G drive, M drive, and L drives, and any others that you might use within your departments. In addition to all that, you'll also be able to access the Scotmid specific applications. So that's applications such as VME, Payroll, Aggresso, Carval, EstateMan, Membership, Funeral Systems, and also FileZilla. But an important point for FileZilla users, when you go into FileZilla, you won't have any of your connections available that you normally do, and you'll need to get in touch with the tech team to have them re-established. There's more information on contacting us at the end. Key point though, before we go into the demo, there are some applications that are not available in terminal services. This includes FlexiTime, BACS, JDA, CACI, and GroupIt BankRec. The reason these aren't available is because we're not able to license them on terminal services. They can only be worked on a computer. If you have a pressing business need to access any of these systems, something that is important and can't wait till after the lockdown's over, you need to get in touch with us, and we'll discuss other ways of doing that. But you'll not be able to access these using terminal services. Okay, the next step is a demonstration. So I'm going to show you terminal services in a bit more detail. I'm just going to break out of the slides and go back to the desktop. So as you just saw, I've already connected to VPN. So if you hover over your green shield in the bottom, it should say connected to Scotmid VPN, or if I double click on it, it will already say VPN connected. Terminal services will not work unless you already have VPN connected. And how you access terminal services is through a new icon that everyone will have on their desktop called remoteworkers.rdp. And if I double click on remote workers, it will ask me to connect. So hit the connect button and then put in your credentials. This is your normal Windows password. So the password that you would log into if you were in the office. And what that's going to do is load something called the virtual machine. And essentially this is just me logging into that remote computer I was talking about in Hillwood House. The difference between the remote computer and the laptop is the wallpaper will be black or darker. It might have a Windows logo on, but it will be darker than the laptop one. And we're referring to this as the black screen and referring to the laptop as the blue screen to avoid confusion. So what effectively happened here is I'm now in a different computer. You can tell you're in a terminal services because you have a blue bar at the top, which I can click and drag from side to side. That's how you know you're in terminal services. I can minimize that and return back to my blue screen, my laptop screen, and that minimizes it down here. You'll see the little computer here, or I can click that to restore myself back to the black screen. What it's effectively doing probably makes more sense if I pull it down like this. Essentially, what we've got here is a computer running within a computer. So the blue screen is your laptop. That's the thing in your house that you're using right now. But this computer here inside the black screen is the computer that's inside Hillwood House. So if I go back to my slide, the black screen is the computer that's in Hillwood, and the blue screen is your laptop. And that's essentially how you're going to use terminal services. And the reason for doing all this is that within the black screen, within the Hillwood House computer, you should have all the applications that you need to do your job. And because the computer's already inside the building, you should find using things like VME will be almost as good as using them in the office, because it's the same connection speed, etc. So what I'm going to do is just show you quickly connecting to email. To do that, you need Outlook. So I'm going to go into the Start menu and search down the list for Outlook, which is there. When I click on Outlook, because it's the first time you've used this computer, you need to set your email up. This is really straightforward. You just have to click Next, Next, Next. It will pull all your information from your user account, so you don't need to type anything in, just keep hitting Next until you get to a point where it asks for your password. And again, that's going to be your standard Windows password. Might take a few moments to get there. So again, standard Windows password, the one that you use to log in the morning. You'll want to tick remember my credentials, and it shouldn't ask you again. And then hit finish, and that will load up your email account. Once you've done this once, you won't have to do it again. So that was just a one-off setup thing. And there you can see I'm in my email accounts. You can also pin things to your desktop by right-clicking and pin to taskbar, sorry, not desktop. And then that will mean when you close the application, they're still there. So you can have all your applications there. So for example, if I wanted to open Excel, that should open as normal. And I can also pin that to the taskbar too, so that I've got it there for the next time. Like normal, if you go to File, Open, and Browse, when you click this PC, you should see all your shared drives in there. So there you can see my G drive, K drive, L drive, M drive, etc. So the shared drives will all be there, and you can open files from them. And we recommend you always save files to them. Please try and avoid saving files to the local disk, because if your laptop goes bang, the file will be gone. As long as you save on your shared drives, they're backed up, and the files can always be recovered. You can also click on the File Explorer. And again, if you hit this PC, you'll see all the drives will appear there. So there's my K drive and my M drive, etc. So you can go in and access all your bits and pieces as normal. The final thing to show you just quickly, if I go into Chrome, because I'm effectively in the building, I can go to internal websites like sharepoint.scotmid.co.uk and access the Society SharePoint. So it's sites that are only available internally you can access as well. You don't have to be, it's not just the public ones. Okay, that's a quick whistle-stop tour of terminal services. But just a reminder, you access that using this remote workers button on your desktop. You won't be able to do very much from the blue screen. You can't access an awful lot. You need to go into remote workers and load up a terminal server session to access all the applications. The final thing to show you is when you come to log off, When you've finished in terminal services, please try and avoid clicking the close button at the top. You need to hit the start menu and then find your user account, which is the little circle with a person in it, and then hit sign out, and that will sign you out properly. If you do disconnect your session by hitting the cross, the session will actually remain open in the background for 6 hours. And that means it's taking up resource that someone else could be using. So please do try and sign out properly. If you do get disconnected from terminal services, you can just reconnect again by clicking on Remote Worker. So if your broadband drops out for a second or something, and it should pick up where it left off. But because you're over a broadband connection, we do recommend that you save regularly. Because if you cut off, we can't guarantee you'll be reconnected. So it's important if you're working on a long document that you're saving regularly as you're going. Please don't get to the end of a 50-page document without saving, just in case it cuts out, because you don't want to lose your work. Okay, right. That was the demonstration of terminal services, and I hope that made sense. By this point, you should have all you need to be able to go in and do what you need to do. The next section is on web conferencing. To support us through the COVID-19 lockdown, we've bought a number of licenses for a product called WebEx to allow people to host audio and video conferencing. The licenses have generally been handed out to SMT and direct reports, so you'll find there should be a few in your department that can set up these meetings. If you are one of the hosts, there's separate video instructions on YouTube that show you how to host meetings. What I'm going to do in this demonstration is just show you how to connect to a meeting. But essentially, WebEx allows us to share our screens or share our webcams to do video conferencing. And also, the IT team might ask you to join a WebEx session to aid support queries. So if you contact us requiring desktop support, you can, we might send you a WebEx link, so we can see your desktop to help us understand the problem. Okay, so I'm now going to do a demonstration in joining a WebEx meeting. Okay, so let's imagine that somebody's invited me to a WebEx meeting and sent me an email invitation. This is where it gets slightly tricky. I will get my email, obviously, in Forte Client when I go in here. And you can see here I have a new email message. Somebody has invited me to a WebEx meeting. Ignore for the moment that it's from me. The meeting invite contains a green button called Join Meeting. Now, at time of recording, we're actually unable to connect to WebExes from the terminal services. It's just a bug that the tech team are working on resolving. But for now, rather than clicking the link, which is what you would do on another PC, if you right-click and hit Copy Hyperlink, you then just need to minimize terminal services and come back down to the blue desktop. If you then open up Chrome and right-click, create a new tab, right-click and paste, and then hit return, that will then take you to join the meeting. There's two ways of joining a meeting. It will try and download a little plugin to actually install on the computer, which you're welcome to do. Or if it says having trouble opening the app, you can join from your browser. So I'm going to hit download it again. So I'm going to just show you logging from that. If you open that and hit run, that will bring up a screen here. If you clicked on join from browser, join from your browser, it should take you to more or less the same screen. It's just it will be a web page rather than a floating pop-up thing. So to join the meeting, you need to change your call-in option. You can change your call-in option. You can choose to either use the computer for audio, so if you're in a quiet place, that's fine. It will use the computer's speaker and microphone. But we actually recommend that you hit call-in and use a mobile phone to actually phone in. It makes the sound quality a lot better. So if I click join meeting there, normally there'll be others there, but what that will do then is bring up this call-in information. Because I selected call-in, it gives me a phone number to dial there, and also an access code. So when you phone up, it'll ask you to enter the access code and press hash, and then put in your attendee ID and connect hash, and that's what connects the sound to you. Once you've done that, you can mute yourself by clicking here. Well, when you're connected, that would mute. You can also switch your webcam on and off. Hello. And that will allow others to see you. If you wish to share your desktop, you can click on this button here, share content. That will allow you to choose one of your open applications to share, or just share your whole desktop, so screen one there. Once you've, just to complete, there's also a chat facility, so you can go to everyone, or if there were other people on the call, you'll be able to select named individuals, and you can just chat away, and that will come up there. Obviously, there's no one to reply at the moment. You can also click this button here, which will give a list of all the participants on the call. Obviously, I'm the only one. When you're finished the call, if you hit end meeting, that will end the call for you there. Okay. So the final slides in today's training are on security and troubleshooting. First of all, wanted to cover off staying safe and secure while you're working at home. We've been advised by security experts that there has been a spike in email scams over the last few weeks linked to the coronavirus. Some are saying it's the worst they've seen in years. So we're asking you to be extra vigilant checking emails. I guess the corona incident will provide criminals, whether they're cyber or otherwise, with an opportunity to take advantage of people. And whilst everyone's out of the office, it's an opportunity for them to try more scams. So please be careful when you receive an email with any links. We recommend you mouse over any links, which is basically hovering your mouse over a link, and that should make a yellow bubble appear underneath that tells you where the link's actually going. So to check the links are genuine. So if the link says www.paypal.com, but when you mouse over the link it actually says something completely different, it's probably a scam, and it's probably going to send you somewhere else. If you do have an email you believe is a scam, in Outlook now, all Outlook clients should have a button that says report phishing, which you can click. What that will do is it will forward your email to Stuart Wilson, our security architect, to investigate, and it will also remove the same email from anyone else in the company's inbox that's got it. So it's very important you click that link if you can, because just because you spotted a scam doesn't necessarily mean everyone will spot it. So what that will do is it will take it out of other people's mailbox, so you could potentially avoid a breach before it's happened. Alternatively, if you're unable to press that button, you can forward the email to 999@scotmid.co.uk and Stuart will pick it up. And that's the same email address you should use for any questions or concerns you have around security online, particularly if you feel you've fallen victim of a scam, and that can happen to the best of us. Please drop Stuart an email and he'll get back to you. Troubleshooting. We do expect while we're at home there will be issues we'll need to fix. It's obviously adds a whole new level of detachment from the building, so it adds a layer of complexity, so we do expect there might be troubleshooting required. We'd ask you, before you get in touch with us though, just to try a few things. First, please make sure you actually have an internet connection. We find the most common reason for people being unable to connect is they actually don't have the internet. So please browse to a couple of public pages like the BBC page, just to check that the internet's working. You might find at the current time, with the volume of people working from home, that the internet does drop out. So you might find BT Internet and Virgin Net, PlusNet have trouble. So please check your internet's actually working before you contact us. When logging on to VPN and/or terminal services, please ensure you've entered the right password. It's your usual username and password that you use to log in at head office every day. Please just check and make sure you're using the right ones. Please don't let your passwords expire. I'll hold my hands up as being terrible for leaving it to the last possible day to change my password, but while we're working from home, if we lock our password, it's very difficult to reset it. It is easy to change your password before it's expired. It's impossible once it's expired. So if you see the emails coming in saying your password's going to expire soon, please just change it straight away. There's a guide attached to these slides called How to Change Your Password. There's also a couple of videos on YouTube that I recorded yesterday that will show you how to do this. Point 4 is around the 6-digit text message that you receive when you're connecting to VPN, as I showed you earlier. It doesn't always work the first time. There's a known issue with it. So if you find that you enter your password in the 6-digit number answer and it tells you it's incorrect, please try it again. It doesn't always work the first time. So try it a few times before calling us. And finally, just to say, there's a number of guides on YouTube. You're obviously watching this on YouTube, so you know how to get to our channel. But if you search for Scotmid Home Working within YouTube, you should find a number of videos that we've recorded. Please check those before calling in case the guide you need is there already. But if you've exhausted the troubleshooting and you do need to contact us, that's absolutely fine. We just ask that you follow a new process. We're asking people not to contact Peter Haley and his team as you normally would for technical support at the moment. They're working flat out to keep the network running and to build new laptops and servers. So please, can you avoid contacting them directly? What we've done is we've set up a new service which will be managed by my team, the IS team, during the coronavirus period. Will be available between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. 7 days a week. And you can contact us using the details below. That's a new phone number, 0131 335 6515, and an email address, homeworking@scotmid.co.uk. When you phone, you won't get straight through to one of us. You'll get a voicemail service. If you leave a voicemail with a name and number, we'll call you back as soon as we can. We're aiming to respond to all inquiries within 15 minutes, but please be aware that during busy periods, so first thing in the morning, particularly on Monday, when everyone's trying to log in, we will get a high volume of calls and it'll take a bit longer to get back to you. But we'll aim to get back to you as soon as possible, but please be patient at busy times, particularly first thing in the morning. We also ask that you avoid contacting the RST, so Colin Hunter's team. They provide frontline service for the stores, so we want to keep their lines clear so the stores can phone in, because it's most important that we keep the stores trading at the moment. So please, if you could contact the new details there, a member of my team will be in touch with you. And will hopefully help with your problem. If we need to escalate it to the technology team, we'll do that for you. And that's us. That concludes the training. Thank you very much for making it all the way to the end. I hope it's been useful for you. As I say, there are other videos on YouTube for you if they're of any use, or get in touch if you have any further questions. But I hope you're all able to connect and work as normally as possible during this time from home. And hopefully we'll all be together again in the office soon. Thanks again, and goodbye.